So welcome. If you're on this call, I'm assuming you want to learn a bit more about what we're doing in our summer intern programs this year. We actually operate two programs this year, which is the DMP 25 for Code for GovTech, as well as the GSOC 25 as well. I'll go through some slides at the beginning of this call, explain a little bit about Mifos and what we do, a bit about our technology stack, a bit which we call Endless Summer of Code. It applies equally to Code to GovTech and GSOC, and then we'll open the floor for any questions. And I'll be joined by some of our mentors as well, and they will keep pinging me in the chat to let me know that I've not promoted them to be presenters if not. Okay, so what is Mifos? Mifos mission is to be a fintech non-profit which leverages the cloud, mobile, and open source community to transform the delivery of digital financial services to the world's underbanked, which was estimated when we started this about 3 billion. The numbers do vary a bit, and it's probably slightly less than that now. So at the moment, we have 65 million clients. So that's end users effectively live on the platform. That's probably an underestimate in terms of the impact we will do, because of the fact, actually, when you impact an individual, you often impact their whole family as well and bring them into financial inclusion. That's split across about 500 implementations or organizations, and it's about across over 70 countries as well in the world. How do we do this? Well, we do it through commoditized core banking software. Really, that is to enable last mile delivery into functional accounts. So people can actually have a digital wallet, a digital account in which they can hold money. We promote doing this via something called a virtuous cycle upstream contribution, and I'll go through this in a bit more detail in a bit. As well as through a very wide ecosystem we have. So we realised that the Mifos solutions are part of the jigsaw puzzle of implementation. We have a wide ecosystem of market-driven solutions out there as well that fit around the Mifos projects and DPGs to really provide solutions to end users that they need in their country. We have been winners of a number of awards over the time. You can see some of those on the bottom. And I'm pleased to announce that actually, as of today, we can add another logo on there, but I did slides before we found out that Mifos X, and in particular the FinBN implementation out in Mexico was awarded the Open Source Reuse Award today for the Future of Government Award. So that's great news, and work that, some of the members of our ecosystem, people like Victor and FinTech Iando, have really helped drive and implement out there. So yet another validation for what we're doing here. There's some of the other awards today. We will update it with new awards now. One of the others we were nominated for last year was the FinTech for Good, where we were one of the finalists for that award as well. So the thing to get from this is that, it's not just awards in the past, it's awards in the future as well. A little brief history of Mifos. Mifos has been around in many forms for quite some period of time, in fact, well over 20 years in some way, shape or form, and really can trace its roots back to the MOAP project back in 2001 to 2004. That was adopted as a Mifos project by the Green Technology Foundation in the mid-2000s, effectively. And in 2011, Mifos became an independent 501c3, spun out from the Green Technology Foundation, and that's when we launched Mifos X in 2013. One of the questions we often receive is, what's the difference between Mifos X and Fineract? Well, Apache Fineract was actually donated by the Mifos initiative to be a top-level project in the Apache Software Foundation, and is the back-end software that our DPGs build upon, as well as building upon many other DPGs and technologies out there in the market. In 2019, we launched Payment Hub EE, which is a payments orchestration system. We'll go for a bit more detail on products, and that's been refined and was recognised as a DPG, a digital public good in its own right, in 2024. Since then, we've worked on implementing the GovStack model in the payments building block, and Payment Hub EE is used for that, for government implementations. And our latest launch was in December last year of Mifos Gazelle, which is a DPI as a solution deployment tool, which is gaining rapid traction in the market. And you'll see some of our projects this year take forward Mifos Gazelle and enhance it. So how do we do this? We do it for open source building blocks. Such as DPGs can build up to make an overall solution known as a digital public infrastructure, which can be deployed by a global community. To do this, we do it in a way that is open. That means we have an open community, we have an open ecosystem, we believe in open collaboration, and we believe in open standards. And you know, many people say they're open source. We live open source, and everything we try to do is as open as possible. We don't do exclusive agreements. We try to encourage everybody, regardless of their background, their heritage, their race, their anything else, to participate as much as possible within our community and within the projects that we build. We do development through something called a Virtuous cycle. Basically, what that means is that we believe that by bringing everybody together, whether that be commercial interested partners, volunteers, developers actually involved on projects directly for Mifos, that by everybody contributing back into the upstream, everybody benefits. So what you get is what you pay for, but everybody gets what you pay for, and you get what everybody pays for. And that's what we mean by the virtuous cycle. So you get the benefit of new features that others have put in, as well as yourself. You get the benefit of knowledge sharing and best practices that you put in and others put in. You get the benefit of shared maintenance, QA, and ongoing releases. And that lowers the cost for yourself to get such a high quality open product. We also have an hourglass approach to what we do. We believe we sit in the middle of the hourglass with a thin core, a Mac architecture being a commoditized core banking system. And what that can do is enable innovations and apps through APIs and interoperable standards at the top level that drive customer experience, data analytics, etc. But also being enabling those open source solution primitives for banking core payments, so linking to real-time events for orchestration, ledgers, etc. And we do it through democratizing core financial services. You will find as I go through this, we've got a lot to cover, so I will skip over some slides and move on quite quickly. So if you look at what we do for open source primitives, you can add in many different layers above, such as ledgers, accounting, reporting, security, wallets, etc. And through those open APIs, you can enable many different uses of that stack beneath, whether you be a microfinance institution, whether you be a SACCO, a government, a bank, a fintech, telcos, or e-commerce, all can use the same core code we're doing through open APIs. And to give a lens on that, if we look here at our DPG stack, what you can see here is a government using at the left-hand side our payment orchestration system. You could see many MFIs, SACCOs, governments, banks, fintechs, etc., using our core banking implementation, Mifos X. You can see our open mobile applications being able to connect in for end users. And together what this builds is a DPI model where everything is available for the public good to drive it, and many different applications can be put on top to drive financial inclusion. So what are our Mifos projects? We have 4 key areas of our Mifos projects. We have Payment Hub EE, which is a digital public good, and that's our payments orchestration system. It could be used by governments, and that's where we refer to the GovStack approach we worked on to be implemented to enable their programs for receiving or sending payments. This is typically known as G2P or P2G. It could be used by DFSPs to do their orchestration and connect into many instant payment rails that they need to. It has connectors for multiple applications, such as fraud and risk management. And it works on the basis of BPMN workflows. So it's highly customizable to the actual flows that's needed. We have Mifos X, which is our core banking solution. What this is using is a core edge approach. So we define the core and we enable the edge to enable many different applications through an active ecosystem. And we encourage that ecosystem to develop, and we have many examples you can see on our previous webinars on our YouTube channel of some of those innovative applications that work with Mifos X to enable new end user experiences. Mifos X could be deployed in both hosted or shared infrastructure modes, and it could be deployed cloud or on-prem, which is obviously naturally we try to promote cloud, but obviously in financial situations, you need to be able to cope with the fact that some regulation doesn't dictate on-prem at times in some environments. We have our mobile applications, a very vibrant part of our community, led by Rajan, who's on the call and will speak a bit later. The mobile applications include mobile wallet, PISP, and that really supports end users' use cases. They've all been migrated to use Kotlin multi-platform environment, which enables us to be able to roll it out across many different types of devices through one development chain. And then, as I mentioned earlier in the call, we've got Mifos Gazelle, which is our DPI as a solution deployment tool, launched last December. The first version deploys 3 DPGs that are typically used in the DPI infrastructure for payments, vNext, PHE, and Mifos X. Version 1.1 will be released in the coming months. And we have a roadmap of many exciting things planned with different component integrations. We actually have at least 3 DPGs now wanting to be implemented on top of those 3 DPGs as part of it. And we'll soon have end-to-end demos flowing through that. You can just click deploy in 15 minutes and run a demo. So really exciting a new project we've got as well. And one I could talk for many hours, so I will quickly move on. As I said, this is a slightly different way of looking at it. If you look at the blue, this is the elements that sit within our solutions. The pink is the edge. So, for example, we don't have KYC and decisioning engines, but we link those to our core solutions to be able to do end-to-end use cases. If you want to see how complex that can look at the blue and pink edge, you can see the many different things that could be used beyond that blue core to enable end use cases. And this is really one of the powers of the Mifos solution, that it enables so many use cases through its open integration model around the core. So what is the role of the Mifos initiative? Well, we split that down into 4 areas. The ecosystem, we maintain the ecosystem, we support the ecosystem, we have a partner directory, we manage volunteers, we manage the community effectively. So that's the ecosystem. We collaborate and govern, so we provide that collaboration infrastructure, the governance models, along with some education and enablement tools to enable the community to work. We provide product stewardship towards the 4 products that you've seen. We also provide some input to the Apache Finoac product, but obviously that has its own product stewardship, being within the Apache Software Foundation. And really what we do is we enable the roadmap, we enable the upstream contributions into the products from across the community. And then we provide thought leadership and advocacy as well. So we build awareness at government levels. As I mentioned at the top of the call, Ed is still traveling, having been out at MOSIP Connect in the Philippines, doing that advocacy and thought leadership piece out there. And as a non-profit and thought leadership, we've really tried to generate some support across grants as well to really bring forth new features and develop the community. So within the ecosystem, we've obviously got a number of players. We've got the partner network. We've got a services marketplace, which can talk about those features around the edge. We want to get to much more of an app store methodology. We're also looking very closely at shared infrastructure. And you've seen some announcements, if you follow us on LinkedIn, about some shared infrastructure investigations we're currently doing in places such as Trinidad and Tobago. And we're looking at Mifos Gazelle as being a deployment tool across the ecosystem to be enabled to enable quick and easy deployment, especially in test environments, etc. Community and collaboration, we do that through things such as mentorship, which obviously you'll see through HIS. We have a number of working groups, and I have a slide in a minute that talks about those, and I encourage you to join them if they're related to the projects you're interested in. We participate in events and in conferences. We participate in innovation labs. We have local regional chapters in some areas as well that get together, but we provide that community infrastructure and governance across the top. And as I said, we've got working groups. We started re-establishing them last year. The first one we established was the documentation working group, but we've launched 2 additional working groups, one focused on AI for all and one focused on architecture, and I recommend joining those. All our working groups are in our Slack channels, and they all start with #WG, so they're easy to find. We manage the product as well. So as we said, through that virtuous cycle and through our thin core approach, we try to drive forward the product definition of those 4 key products, and we maintain the roadmaps for those products as well. So we provide product stewardship through the tools that we have, such as GitHub. We have Jira as well for issue tracking. We use the Atlassian suite quite extensively, and we also use tools such as Gitbook, README on GitHubs, ASCII docs, API documentation such as readme.io, etc., to bring our products together so people can access them easily. Education and advocacy work. We do demand, so we promote the brand. We do partnerships with associations. We reach out to governments. We do thought leadership. You will see we're very active in how DPGs can collaborate together to further financial inclusion, especially around digital public infrastructure, DPI. We talk at industry partnerships and coalitions, and we do funder engagement. We also look to measure the impact of what we're doing, and that'll be the same for anybody that's taking part in any of the projects as well. One of the key things we look to do is look at the impact of the work you're doing and help you communicate that out so people understand the impact of what we've done. We have quite a wide tech stack of many slides, and I'll briefly run through those. But basically, we do full stack development within our FinOapp platform. It's based on a modular and integration architecture. We have front-end and mobile development. We have Payment Hub EE development. We have development for DPG and DPIs. We have AI development. We have quality assurance development. Like most things, we have to look at security and penetration testing. So there's security aspects in our development stack, DevOps, and as well as performance testing. So all the things you'd expect to see in any product, we're actually undertaking in our technology stack. So looking a bit deeper at the back-end development, we have a number of areas we look at. We're looking at the refactoring of FinOapp. We just focus especially on modularization of our architectures and make sure everything's done through modules and custom modules, which are then within Mifos X on top of FinOapp. And we do security and penetration testing. We have reporting and dashboards work we do. We do integrations. So one of the integrations I talked earlier about, that sort of core edge model. One of the integrations we've done in the past is with Bagini for loan decisioning software. We've got integrations with workflow engines, and we're looking at some different ones. We're looking at credit bureaus, how we integrate with help desk, etc., and how we integrate with other digital public goods such as MOSIP, which is a digital ID. We have products that look cross-cutting, projects that look cross-cutting across the FinOapp SDK and the client, mobile UI, multi-platform, service middleware, etc. In terms of web development, we have an active web development community and called the Web App that looks at our web application, which is primarily the Mifos X application, but also looking at the Payment Hub EE Operations UI and the online banking application. We have a large amount of front-end development ongoing. We also have our mobile apps. If you're interested in our mobile apps, I really recommend looking at the recent deep dive we did on our mobile apps. Again, that's findable on our YouTube channel. And I will make sure I put in the chat at the end when I get a break from talking where our YouTube channel is, so you can all find it. And that went into a lot more detail about our mobile applications and the work that's been done there. Payment Hub EE, that looks at next generation payments, other integrations into it. We've been looking at integration into, for example, the Interledger stack with Payment Hub EE to make open to new payment rails and new payment methods that aren't currently in there. We integrate with mobile wallets. We have integrations to things such as mobile banking as well. So, for example, we have integrations out in Africa to mobile money schemes. And Payment Hub EE also offers that same core edge architecture that we talked about with Mifos X. So what it does is through a number of connectors, whether it be omni-channel connectors, whether it be account management connectors, whether it be fraud and risk management connectors or payment scheme connectors, it can access into the core architecture. And as you can see, Payment Hub EE is quite complex in the center. But what we aim to do is keep that complexity at the center. What that does is enable simplicity around the edge. So through the open APIs, you can actually start to build things out over the top and not have to go and tinker with the core too often. But we are looking at some core updates into the future, and I think some of our projects actually look at that this year. So we're looking about how we can refactor it and make the modularity a bit better in Payment Hub. We're looking at how we can abstract the complexity of the workflow engine out. We're also looking at how we can improve performance and reduce resource consumption. There's a lot of interest in additional connectors to Payment Hubs to things such as ISO 222. Mobile money integrations, and last year we had projects on improving our operations web UI and taking that forward. As I said, we've got a lot of work on DPGs and DPIs, and two of our products are DPGs. One of our products enables DPIs, Mifos Gazelle, and projects this year look at how we can integrate other DPGs together with our existing DPGs to enable end-to-end use cases. And then AI is important. Nobody can miss it. It's certainly any conference that doesn't have an AI talk is not a conference these days. But we're really looking at what AI can mean within our community as well. We've done some stuff in the past, and we want to take that forward at looking at how we can use that machine learning approach to improve credit scorecards and things like that. We've looked at bank statement analysis last year and we want to take that bit further forward. We're looking at generative AI as well. So can that be used in documentation? Can it be used in community support? So we've got a number of projects trying to explore where AI can fit into our products in the right way with the right safeguards to drive things forwards. So as I said, we have two summer internship programs that we do. Both run along very similar lines. We've got Code for GovTech, which is just launched. That has 6 specific projects. And if you follow that link on our community engagement wiki, you can find those 6 specific projects and how to apply for those. And then we have Google Summer of Code, where we've got over 40 project ideas out there. Typically, we have about 10 to 15 interns running on those projects over the summer as well. And I'm sure you've already found it, but if you haven't, you can see our full list of ideas for 2025 there on the web. Now, at this point, I'm going to try handing it over to Ed to talk through the next few slides.
Okay, yeah, so I just wanted to quickly go through a presentation we've given over the years. It's a little dated now. I think we first gave the presentation probably almost 7-8 years ago, but all of the processes and procedures and what we look for as interns through our program still has held the test of time, and this helps to give an overview of what we're really looking for. So this was delivered as part of a presentation called Endless Summer of Code, because we really view our interns having their summer internship really only be the start of their journey and aim to help grow you into long-term anchors, contributors, and maintainers within our open source projects. So this is just a brief progression here showing how over the years we've grown our participation. And then I haven't updated for the past few years, but wanted to communicate that one of the next steps after you've participated as an intern with Mifos is to hopefully, become a mentor or become an active contributor and helping to contribute on a volunteer basis post your internship. And so for us, like the code itself is only one of the dimensions in how we value and measure the impact that Summer of Code provides. As David noted, the projects that we've listed, we've tried to solicit the ideas and feedback from the community and make sure that all of the projects would deliver immediate value to our community. And then the biggest, lesson with Code for GovTech or Google Summer of Code is really, we seeing this being that gateway to help new contributors like yourself have their first foray into open source. We have a couple slides that demonstrate really the power that this internship can in helping to begin the professional journey, starting with open source for many of our previous interns. And so let me skip to the next slide. But one of the key aspects of our summer intern programs that we like to focus on is how you as an intern can grow as a leader within our community, but also in your own professional development path. So starting out as an intern, we aim to help you become a mentor in the future. And then ideally you can become like an active committer or contributor to one of our open source projects, then actually helping to maintain the projects as Rajan is now doing after many years of contributing as intern, mentor in various roles. And then in terms of professional development, as you can see on the screen here, we've showed some images of previous interns and when they've gone on to work. So first off, a number of our interns have gone on to take jobs with local system integrators within the broader Mifos fintech ecosystem. And then we have a number of our summer intern alumni who have worked at a number of these major corporate sector companies. And then lastly, we've seen a number of our previous Google Code-In, Summer of Code, and other interns go on to be successful entrepreneurs starting their own businesses. So we really hope that open source through Summer of Code and Code for GovTech can be the beginning of that professional as well as community leadership journey for you. And then another key aspect of Summer Code for us is the ability for many of our senior mentors to be able to give back to that next generation in a high impact, low touch manner. And then our summer interns really help to become that bedrock and foundation of our community. So you'll see, with some of our applications like the web app and some of our mobile apps, that if we didn't have interns like yourself working on them throughout a number of different years, there would have been no code being written into those code bases. So it really is critical for us to engage with interns. And like I stated earlier, you become the future of our community, helping to lead and helping to onboard new contributors. And so going back to this high impact, low touch way for senior members of our community, we really want this to be the way to pass that torch on to that next generation of contributors. Many of our mentors are just, well, all of our mentors are just volunteering. And so they have limited amount of time due to their day jobs and other responsibilities. So Summer of Code and Code for GovTech is a high impact way for them to spend, limited amounts of time, but really deliver value by passing this torch onward. And this is a quote here. This is from one of our early intern programs, and I think it's grown even more so as we've worked with students across the world on an even wider basis. But Michael Vorgberger made this quote here, which really demonstrates how truly flat the world is by allowing mentors from around the world to engage with interns from around the world across our various projects. So next, I just want to talk a little bit about the overall processes as we've continued to refine these over the years. And I'm going to look at what we do before, during, and after Summer of Code to help create this endless Summer of Code for you. So first off, we do the promotion initially. So I'll have a blog post up on our site. We're doing this AMA session now. And then we've had our previous contributors try to do outreach to local universities. But what we really try to emphasize, apart from the innovative tech stack that we have, is the key social mission that we have. So you have the ability not just to grow professionally on a leading stack of fintech and web-based technologies, but you have the ability to contribute to our mission of creating that world of 3 billion Maries, or helping us to end poverty one line of code at a time. And so next up, just want to talk a little bit about how we'll evaluate all of our students. So we have our application template on the site, both specific to Google Summer of Code, as well as specific to Code for GovTech. But the general criteria that we evaluate our summer interns is fairly similar across both programs. And so we, of course, want to see a detailed project plan where you list out like the key deliverables, a comprehensive timeline, and then design of some of those key deliverables. We do, want to see that you have some previous skill set, but that's not the highest dimension that we look at. We want to see that you've been able to demonstrate strong communication skills and the willingness to ask for help and be independent, though, in trying to get help as well. And then we also want to, really evaluate some of the softer measures around our project. So first off, we want to have you have a deep understanding of our social mission and have a deep knowledge about the need of our project, so generating that interest. We also want to see that you see a long-term role in the community and how you can fit in this endless summer of code. And then another key aspect is around some evaluation tasks that we want you to submit during this evaluation period so we can both gauge the quality of contributions, but primarily your ability to interact and communicate with and respond to feedback from the open source community and your ability to help others and whatnot. So we'll be sharing these slides later on so you can look in these dimensions. And so in terms of what I just noted earlier, we don't necessarily look just at the skill set, but we want to seek that passion and potential that you have, and those engagements you have in submitting your pull request is exceptionally critical. And I guess one other aspect about the before process is, so after all of the applications have come through, we'll shortlist those, and then we'll schedule ideally 2 interviews with all of our shortlisted candidates to help us identify which slots we want to request for the intern programs and who we might try to select. So with Summer of Code, we don't know how many slots we're going to get until all the applicants have come through, but historically, the past few years, we've gotten around 10 intern slots, so we're hoping we'll get that many this year. And then as David noted, we've got 6 projects for Code for GovTech, and that number is finite, provided that we find suitable candidates for those projects. So during Summer of Code, upfront, we want to make sure it's very clear what that picture and destination of success is for you. So it's not just completing the project, but we want to have you actually be challenged and learn and grow your skills, and then have you have that ability to make an impact on our mission and also really see yourself where you fit in our community and that long-term role you can play. So one of the quotes I like here from John O'Bacon is, "We want you to feel like you belong in the community." So we do a lot during Summer of Code to immerse you amongst our fellow contributors, as well as the user base and our local system integrators, so they can see the value that you're bringing, and you can also see the value that they can add to you professionally. So one thing that we do try to work on is, as I noted on that previous slide, creating that personal roadmap for how you can grow within our community as a leader, and also how you can grow professionally. And then one of the key aspects of success that we found is communication early and often throughout the project. So we maintain a Slack channel where we have a Slack daily bot or daily stand-up bot that everybody needs to reply to. And then we also will have a weekly check-in via like Zoom for voice and visual check-ins to give a weekly update, but also to surface any issues or just collaborate with your fellow interns in the program. We also want to make sure that you're committing early and often, as we sometimes see one of the key, reasons sometimes we would have to fail our interns is when they leave everything towards the end of the program and try to do one massive commit at the end. So that'll be very critical. And then throughout the summer intern program, we do both a midterm showcase as well as a final showcase. If you take a look at our YouTube channel, you can see all of the videos that David has compiled and uploaded there, which demonstrate how much visibility we try to give to the good work that our interns are doing, and really try to immerse you in the community and show what value you're bringing. And then once again, we try to immerse you in the community through blog posts, and we recognize that to complete projects, it takes a full village. So sometimes, you might not just be working with one single mentor, but you'll be working with other members from the community to give input on design or around user requirements and whatnot. And then we also try to be very active, primarily, even though there's updates here on Facebook. Now, our primary social media channel is LinkedIn. And so David has been very diligent about making sure we're actively promoting the efforts of our summer intern students. So we like to get social with a focus on LinkedIn. And then we also want to just communicate that even if you do, fail your project, it is a great lesson, and don't, consider that the end of your journey. We've had, some students that we had to reject, or we've had some students that have failed who have then come on to be, valuable contributors to the community and have great professional careers. And so, often the reasons why we might fail a student or an intern is just lack of transparency around other, ongoing like commitments that might pull you away from your internship, or, just simply not being available or not putting in the effort and trying to respond to feedback. We recognize that not every intern is going to fully complete all tasks in their project, but we want to make sure, you're putting in that effort and you're trying to grow and you're trying to, overcome the challenges that you're facing. And then after Summer of Code, there are a number of different ways we try to keep our interns engaged and like to classify this across the 5 different R's. So the first of these R's is to know your role. This goes back to that personal roadmap and the role that you can play in the community. And so you can go on and become a mentor in the future. And then, we no longer participate in coding, so I need to remove that slide. But then we also, like to quote Mr. T here, and you better recognize. So we try to send, great amounts of recognition for our interns. We do this through LinkedIn, as I mentioned before. And then we're going to reinvigorate our Star Contributor of the Month program, where we nominate key star contributors from the community. And then another R is travel rewards. So we try to use some of the stipends that we get from Google to help sponsor the travel of our interns to local events in their open source community, or perhaps events that Mifos might be participating at. And so that's another one of the benefits that we try to promote and provide after Summer of Code and Code for GovTech has completed. And then also, sometimes if you're a mentor in the future, you can become our delegate to attend a future Google Summer of Code Mentor Summit. So this past year, Rahul represented the Mifos initiative. And then another key R that we focus on is the power of recommendations. So David, myself, and other mentors are happy to provide recommendations via LinkedIn. And we recognize that that's a powerful tool to demonstrate beyond, your successful completion of the internship, just the value we've seen in working with you. And then we also like to provide referrals, whether it might be contractual roles that Mifos needs to help deliver on opportunities, whether it might be working with other system integrators in the Mifos ecosystem, or if there are, companies and fintechs we know who are looking to hire individuals, we're happy to refer you to take on those roles. And one thing, I'll note is that as Mifos is more involved with shared infrastructure, we're probably going to directly have more roles in which we need to engage with individuals. So that's another one of the types of referrals we would focus on. And then I think I like to call this one the bonus R around reunions. Like whenever David or myself are traveling somewhere, we like to meet up with our interns when we get the chance to. So this past year, David and I were fortunate to be in Cairo for the Global DPI Summit, and we had the opportunity to meet Omar and Zayed there at the event in Egypt. And so just wanted to recap, some of the challenges here. So recognize that especially for Summer of Code, the selection process is very competitive, and that right now, as you've seen, we are working with volunteers as mentors. So sometimes, fully scoping the project takes time. So we appreciate your patience if you're waiting on getting questions answered or waiting to identify who the mentor is that you're going to be potentially working with. Going back to that point of not being afraid to fail, and then also, knowing when to call it quits if you recognize the project might not work out, and then going back to committing early and often, making sure you can ship that code. And so just a few, takeaways before we open the floor to any general questions. So we try to, engage and on board with committed and empathetic mentors who have the patience and who really believe in the potential of our open source contributors and have that energy to pass that torch on further. As I noted earlier, we're not seeking just that you have previous experience or that you have a strong experience or strong skill set, but we're really looking for that long-term passion and potential and how you can be a long-standing member of our community. It's very important to do that engagement early on in this process. So I know for some of you, there might not be a clear code base where you can make contributions to. So we're in discussion of what would be good engagement and evaluation tasks that you could work on. If you get accepted in the Summer of Code, you'll see that we communicate and commit early and often through these Slack updates. I already talked about not being afraid to fail. We really will try to do all we can to make you feel like you belong and that you're immersed in the community. And then we want to, make sure you've got that roadmap and the growth plan. And we also want to give you ownership and leadership to help you, guide the future of our projects. And those recommendations, those referrals, we recognize those can go a long way. And then we do try to make sure we do our best to stay in touch with each of you. We're going to be launching a more comprehensive alumni portal of all of our summer interns so that you can stay in touch and stay connected with everybody in your respective groups. So I think that's like the end of what I was gonna share here. So I want to now just open the floor to any questions that folks have. And I believe we've added most of our mentors on the call as panelists. So hopefully if there's a specific question geared towards a mentor, we can have that mentor respond directly. But David and I want to thank everybody who've attended today, and then we'll open the floor to any questions. And I think we had about 75 minutes for today's call today. So we've got a half hour if there's that many questions to field.
Excellent, thank you. So I know a lot of you already started putting your questions in the Q&A. We've been trying to answer some of those as we've been going along, but we've got a few other questions, which I'll call out. First one, maybe for you, Ed, this one. So Devesh asks, well, it's a three-part question, this one. Who are the end users of Mifos? And can you explain the mission and vision of Mifos?
Yeah, great question. So the end users range from a wide variety of institutions, but the original core, user that we were catering to, and is still the key focus of our social mission, are those non-bank financial institutions like microfinance institutions, SACCOs, credit cooperatives, savings groups, etc. I'm sorry if there's a motorcycle in the background, but I'm in the Philippines right now. But yeah, so those are the key institutions who are serving and reaching the last mile and delivering financial services. But throughout the years, given how strong and robust our software is, we've seen it get adopted across a number of different providers delivering financial services and fintech across the public and private sector. So this ranges from, banks like that are focused on the base of the pyramid, but also we had a company, in Germany who provided mortgage loans using the software. Right now, as we showcased in our Pepper Soup webinar, we're working with one of the largest global fintechs to manage their lending process. And then David noted earlier the Finabien project, which won the Open Source Reuse Award, and that's a government institution. So there's a wide variety of institutions, whether they're MFIs, SOCOs, fintechs, banks, telcos, governments that use our software. And that's why, I think working on Mifos, apart from benefiting the social mission, you're going to be developing familiarity with a tech stack, which will help to position you in working in the burgeoning fintech and financial services sector. So, and then a little bit more on the mission, as David noted, in the focus of our, organization, Mifos, the key role of ours in helping us to deliver and create that world of 3 billion Maries is unlocking that virtuous cycle and having this ecosystem-based approach. So we recognize that Mifos alone, given our small team, can't build out the software for all the use cases it needs to be supported. So that's why we like to work hand in hand with our local in-country support partners to build solutions, get them to contribute back, and then we augment all these contributions with the work of volunteers and interns like yourselves. So.
Excellent. And the third part of Devash's question, I will hold and answer myself because it's about my pet project, Mifos Gazelle. So you asked how would Mifos Gazelle is adding value given it's not released? It is released, is the first exciting bit of news. And I can certainly link you to the first release. There is a release due again. So we have committed with Mifos Gazelle to do quarterly releases, and the next quarterly release will be out the door within the next month, which will contain some end-to-end journeys for demos, as well as some other enhancements. How it's adding value is really unique. And it's one of those, when we started doing it, we kind of had a feeling of what value it add. And that's kind of been vindicated by it since it's been released. So the real value of Mifos Gazelle is the ability for people to be able to quickly deploy and join together different components they need to actually build a use case. In the past, that's been very hard. It's taken a lot of knowledge to do. It's taken a lot of infrastructure to do it. What Gazelle does is it reduces the demands both on infrastructure and knowledge and time to be able to do it, simplifies it down to a one-line command and 15-minute deployment. And Ed will probably tell me off if I plug my video of live 15-minute deployment on YouTube, but I will plug it on time. So yeah, there is huge value for Mifos Gazelle, and it's, as I say, I think one of the vindications we've seen is how much that's been picked up by others outside of the Mifos community since we launched it in December, with others wanting to come on board, make sure their DPGs are linked into it, and it's really easy for people to use, deploy, and hopefully therefore go and address financial inclusion, other things, because people understand how to deploy this stuff more easily.
Yeah, I think just to add to what David said, this was really evident while I was at the MOSIP Connect event here in Manila, as a number of like the key enablers across the DPI space, they're looking to do, similar initiatives around helping it be easy to deploy end-to-end multiple DPGs, and we're making sure our efforts with Gazelle aligns with this. And then one of the days at MOSIP Connect was an unconference session, and there were a couple of different sessions as part of the unconference focused on the minimal or the minimum DPI, digital public infrastructure stack, or how DPG could be delivered in a box. And so Gazelle aligned with both of those interests that we're seeing from other DPGs and other implementers to have a solution that makes it easy to rapidly deploy and evaluate multiple digital public goods. So it's even though it's in its early, stages of development and release cycles, it's going to be and is already a very impactful project that Mifos is maintaining.
Excellent, thank you. I see we have a couple of questions all related to the same thing, where people have reached out to mentors and maybe they haven't responded on Slack or email. So I think if that's the case, feel free to reach out to myself. I know Rajan's also volunteered, that people can reach out to Rajan, Ed likewise, and we'll try and connect people with the right mentors. Mentors don't always respond in 5 minutes. I will warn you, they have other jobs as well, so it can take a day or two. But certainly if you're having problems connecting with a mentor, just let us know and we will make sure you get connected. Sayed asks, is there any specific knowledge or prerequisites required for LAM for Fineract or generative AI for Mifos projects in GSOC? I'm trying to see what mentors we've got on the call. I don't think we've got any mentors specific to AI on the call. I would say for AI, certainly join the AI working group if you haven't already. It's another plug for our working groups. A lot of discussion happens there, and a lot of the mentors and other people interested in AI will have that discussion there. If you've got some background in AI, it will certainly help you. But it's one of those areas where it's so evolving, it's very easy to bring in new ideas and perspectives to it. So we don't want to be too prescriptive in what knowledge you should bring along to that project. And it's one of those where we can see some really exciting stuff sometimes in the proposals or even a discussion. I was having a discussion with a candidate the other night around AI, where we were bouncing ideas back and forwards, which has actually been the basis of one of the projects we've now listed for the code for GovTech, because it wasn't an area we thought about. We just bounced it back and forth between us and thought, actually, there's something we can address. So please do bounce ideas off us as well. So Ahmed asks, I'm interested in integrating Mifos X with the workflow engine project idea. What makes my proposal the best candidate? Well, that's a wide question. Ed, what would make a proposal the best candidate for you?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, we want to see a strong level of thought and understanding of the needs of the project and a detailed project plan in your proposal, as well as where you see yourself, fitting into the community and being a part of our broader social mission. And then we also want to make sure that you have been able to, demonstrate your ability to engage with the community by submitting some, pull requests or other tasks. And if it's, a bit challenging to understand what that might be for the workflow integration, we can discuss with the mentors what those strong evaluation tasks would be. So.
Yes, and
Joshua, sorry,
go
go for
ahead,
it.
Rajan. Yeah.
yes, just a one add up, like we really want you to understand the product. So if you're writing any proposal, so if any case like we don't have a channel for that specific project, just reach out to us, any of us, and we will surely will assign one developer, like one mentor, and a channel for that specific project. So we want you to understand. We want you to understand, and you as well as the product. So the more engagement that you will have during the contribution period, and the more we will understand like your knowledge, that's gonna be increasing your chances of selection, because we want someone like who knew the idea, who knew our idea that can make successful implementation.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Rajan. That's really good. Joshua says, I would like to contribute to DevOps, but finding it hard getting issues, tickets to better understand the code base and workflows. Can I point you to some? Yeah, a lot of our DevOps stuff is actually around Mifos Gazelle. I can, if you're on our Slack, if you can send me a message on David Higgins, you can see me posting regularly on our Slack, so you should be able to find me. Send me a quick message. What I'll do is I'll add you to our Mifos Gazelle developer channel. What I can do is make sure you've got access to all the Jira tickets we've got on DevOps within Gazelle. There's plenty to get your teeth into. And as you know, Rajan said, one of the key things actually with DevOps is sort of getting engaged and actually doing it. Try installing it, find the bugs yourself, raise a few tickets and issues through our Jira, fix them. If you're quick, they'll be in the next release, so it'll be really good. We have someone who said they've prepared 2 project proposals to them and would like us to review. Yes, certainly, we're happy to review if you can send us links to those, because I don't think I've seen them yet. I don't know, Rajan, if you've seen any project proposals come through yet?
Not right now,
No.
but you can send it up. Like I will start reviewing, like whoever sends me. Like I got a few of it today. Well, I start reviewing the proposal.
Yeah. So yeah, please feel free to send project proposals, discuss with the mentors of the projects, etc., and that'd be really good. Someone asks, what do I need to do apart from submitting my proposal? Should I prove my skills? Plus, what is the best approach to submit the best proposal? Yes, prove your skills, definitely. Get involved, pick some tickets up. They don't have to be big tickets that show that you're active in the community, you're looking through the repos, etc. That's a really good way to promote yourself as a candidate alongside your proposal. In terms of the approach for the best proposal, on our community engagement site, we do have an application template that is the questions we're looking for in your proposals. So we're not telling you how to write it, but we're telling you what we're looking for in your proposal. So please try and make sure you answer those questions as you're writing your proposal, because that's what we're trying to tease out to understand which is the best proposal against the project.
Can I add one thing, David?
Yeah, certainly.
So, guys, you will be seeing a lot of new projects in our idea list regarding the AI and AI ML and some other web projects. So whenever you see any fresh idea, what we want, we want you to present any MVP of that idea. So that's really will give us one big understanding about what you can do. We don't want you to implement 100%. It's just like if you can give a MVP of that idea, MVP implementation of that idea, hardly a 10%, and we know that okay, you are capable of it, then it is a very big for you to get selected. And we will have a very big background to evaluate yourself, like you are capable of doing it. And please don't generate everything from the MVP from the AI, and it's totally reflecting. So your hard work is the only thing gets recognized.
So we have another question come in. Mifos follows a microservices architecture with services interacting via APIs and message queues. I'm looking to work on the reactive loan risk assessment engine for GSOC. What are the best practices to ensure seamless integration with existing services? Should I follow any standard authentication, logging, or tracing mechanisms to align with the Mifos architecture? That sounds a very technical question, so let me find who's the most technical person I've got on the panel to answer that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Alex.
Victor Yeah, Victor, Alex, hopefully.
I was going to say, yeah, Victor isn't joined as a panelist, but Alex, you're online. Do you want to answer that one?
Sorry, can you tell me again what was the question?
Yes, certainly. Mifos follows a microservices architecture with services interacting via APIs and messaging queues. As I'm working on the reactive loan risk assessment engine for GSOC, what are the best practices to ensure seamless integration with existing Mifos services? Specifically, should I follow any standard authentication, logging, or tracing mechanisms to align with Mifos architecture?
Okay, that's already very specific. Obviously, you have two choices, so you can have this as an internal service of Mifos or an external application. Right? External application is fine. And then you interact with the API. In general, I would follow best practices for Spring Boot applications if that is your choice. I guess we don't have really a requirement in terms of frameworks, but as the main project is a Spring Boot application, probably it would be best to choose that too. To be honest, microservices architecture, I'm not sure if we follow those rules strictly. If you look at it as a whole, then yes, you can consider Fineract a service. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a microservice. We had another project that went that route, but that doesn't exist anymore. It was called Fineract CN. I hope that you are not looking at that one because that's basically dead. Yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say here from the top of my head.
Thank you, Alex. And if you've got more questions on that one, Alex is on the Slack and very responsive on Slack. So feel free to reach out with any follow-up questions to Alex directly on Slack and make sure we get it answered.
Just to say that I will always find the 15 minutes here or there, right? And then we can hash this out in more detail.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Alex. Ahmed, I think we've answered your question regarding the bits to make your proposal stand out. But if you do have follow-up questions, just ping me or Ed or Rajan or one of the other mentors on Slack, and we're happy to have a conversation with you. Abhinav says, Ed, I'm interested in working on the reactive risk assessment engine for Mifos project, and we'll be getting in touch. So I guess you can look out for his Slack message shortly, Ed. Raoul says, if I want to contribute to a project idea but I only know 70% of the skill required, can we still contribute to that idea, or do we need to be a professional to get the idea?
Yes,
Absolutely, you can still contribute. Yeah, Rajan, do you want to go and take that one? Yeah.
Yes. So, Rahul, absolutely right. You can do it. 70% is more than enough. Like we are here to to learn and grow in your career. So GSOC is all about putting yourself out and learning as much as possible and implementing and building something great. So 70% is more than enough. So if you are willing to learn the rest of the 30%, you will be most welcome. And as I mentioned earlier, so using those 70%, if you can put together something in your proposal to showcase you can build the idea of that 70% beforehand, 70% of implementation you can do right now, and 30% you will be learning during the GSOC, then you are most welcome, and we'll teach you rest of it. Don't worry.
Excellent. I think that's all the questions we've got at the moment. So I guess, opening the floor to our mentors, is there anything that, you would like to say on top of what, we've said so far to the aspirants to be, GSOC or C4GT interns? Take those a no. Okay, we've had one more question come in. Do we have a priority system for selecting projects when you have limited slots and need to decide which ones to take on? Ed, do you want to explain how that works? I tried to explain it to someone the other day and it sounded very complicated when I explained it. So
Yeah, that's a good question, and we try to do that across a number of dimensions. So as I noted earlier, all of our projects are high priority in general, but we also, try to make sure that once we've gotten, all of our applicants in and we have, projects that we do have a strong mentor to be there for. So it's sort of like a holistic view, looking at the number of applicants we get overall, the number of, high priority projects with strong mentor allocation. And then, sometimes if we do have a really strong candidate and we've got multiple candidates applying for the same project, we might select you and then request that you work on an alternative project within the similar domain. So yeah, I'm not sure if my answer was any better than David's, but it's a multifaceted approach we use to prioritize and how we select and allocate or request a slot based on the applicants that are coming our way. So.
thank you, Ed.
Yeah, and then I think, I know you had a question that I typed an answer to in the chat. I'd say continue to reach out to Victor around credit bureau questions. I'm also trying to get Nyan engaged on Slack as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm aware there's quite a few people that are trying to get hold of AI mentors, and there's a bit of a bottleneck, and you're all coming to me at the moment. And we'll try and spread that out and get some more AI mentors on board to answer questions, so that you don't have to put up with me trying to answer in my spare time in the evening at the moment, and my knowledge of AI.
yeah, and then I
yes,
think
we will be sharing recording. Is the other one someone's asked. We will have this up on our YouTube channel in the next few days. And we'll put a link to that in our general Slack so people can find it nice and easy.
Yeah, and then David, I'm not sure if you or Rajan saw Perimal's question, but I think our various Slack groups that are sort of dedicated to the domain is covering a fair amount of that purpose already. So
yeah, exactly. We did last year have some dedicated Slack channels for a few projects, but we found that got very complicated. So what we've tried to do, especially with Gazelle this year, is not do that, but encourage people to actually participate in the ongoing discussion. Rajan, for mobile, I guess it's a similar approach.
What again? Can you just tell me? Sorry.
Would you have dedicated project chat channels on Slack, or would you just encourage people to be in the general Slack channels for the mobile apps?
We have for every project, like we have a specific channel, and then we discuss each and everything on a specific channel regarding the project. And most importantly, if you are looking for the mobile development, and I will surely first tell you, join the mobile channel, and we have a community walkthrough guideline in the Canvas, and read it out, or just mention me on a mobile channel. I'll just send you the link. And we have a regular stand-up meeting that happens Monday to Friday every day, and sometime in weekends, but weekends is we don't do. So every day, if you are working or looking to contribute in mobile, I'll assign a task to every student or whoever is coming to contribute. So just join the channel. We do the grooming, and we do merge the tickets and code and all over the call, and also assign the tickets if you are willing to work on any ticket.
Excellent. Thanks for that.
Yes, one last thing is purely the whole development is go through me. So just reach out to me. I'll assign you definitely one task, anything that you want to you're just willing to work. I'll assign you any small or big task.
Excellent. Thanks for that. I don't, unless anyone else can spot something coming up in the Q&A, see any other questions, but it's been great getting so many questions today, almost 50 questions in the Q&A, which is impressive. as I said, what we will do is we will have this up and on, so people can review the recording very shortly, and we'll send it out via Slack. And please do just get in touch with us. If you're not getting answered on Slack, just get in touch with myself, Ed, or Rajan, and we will work to get the right people engaged to answer your questions across the community. But thank you all very much for joining today. It's been great to have you with us. It's been great to have so many of our mentors with us as well to give their insights and perspective, and Ed when he's traveling as well joining. So thank you very much for the interest, and we look forward to chatting with you some more as you put your proposals in and seeing some really exciting proposals over the coming few weeks coming in. So thank you very much, and we'll wrap the call there. Thank you.